Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Hara for Pond Life Aquatics in Tropical Fish London. And in today's video, another fish room tour and stock update from Northwest London's biggest and best aquatic centre. Let's get into it. Starting off in the beginning of our store, when you walk in on the left-hand side, as a lot of you know, but if you're not aware, we do things continent by continent here at Pond Life Aquatics in Tropical Fish London. As you walk in, the first section on the left and after the plant tanks are our South American section. And we got a few really lovely things in this week, and I'll be going over some of the other stock that we still have in and still are looking beautiful and healthy. We got in another batch of really stunning looking guppies. Some of them are in the quarantine space, not because they need quarantining for any visible issues, but because we don't want to overstock the showroom. As I said last week, guppies aren't typically my thing, but I really just appreciated how pretty these ones have been. We've been feeding them on this Fish Science krill flake food, which we've been feeding pretty much the entire store. And we hadn't actually used this up until recently, where Fish Science had come in, filmed a whole bunch of stuff, and they gave us some free samples. And honestly, I've been blown away with it. All of the fish that can sometimes be picky eaters, I know guppies don't really come under that, but everything's just been voracious for it. We've had really good appetites all around, and these guppies have just been doing fantastically on them. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. And I think we hit a new milestone where we've had 3,000 hours of view time over the last like 3 months, which is insane. So I hopefully should be able to link that in this video if you're interested in a new really great food. We also got Sankey swordtails in, which if you haven't kept swords before, a live bearer, super easy to keep. They do get relatively big compared to things like guppies, so they do need a good amount of space. Super easy to breed. They have sexual dimorphism, which means that they're very easy to tell apart. The males tend to have a modified anal fin, which almost looks like a dagger, while the females don't. You want to have a more female to male ratio, so you don't have overbreeding. But again, they've come in really lovely. A couple of them are looking a little bit skinny, but hopefully with that Fish Science krill food, we should be able to feed them up nice and fat. Moving just a little bit along, we've got our Corydoras catfish. We got Pygmy Corydoras in this week, which are some of my favorite species of fish. I kept them ages ago and I really want to keep them again. I might keep them in my desktop aquarium, which if you're interested, there's a link to the Aquascape I did for that in the description. But Pygmy Corydoras are an excellent fish, true shoaling species. They need like 50 liters plus to have a proper shoal of them. And when you do, they really just stick together and you'll get the best behaviors out of them. Really happy we got these guys in. They seem quite fat and happy. Sometimes they come in a bit pinched, but these guys are absolutely gorgeous. Really excited that we've got them in again. We haven't been able to get them for a while, so that's really cool. We still have angelfish in. The Stir-by Corydoras that we had in there sold to one of our long-time friends of the shop. So thank you for that. The angels have been doing absolutely brilliantly. The Oaru are more than happy, and our discus have all been really feeding up. We've been giving them a mixture of copepods, frozen food, and obviously the Fish Science side of the dry food range. I really won't keep hammering on about it, but the fact that the discus love eating that krill food so much is brilliant. It means we can really fatten them up. We've obviously still got all of our classic fish species. So we've got cardinal tetras, neon tetras, lemon tetras, flame tetras. We've had those in for a few weeks. Absolutely gorgeous. We haven't really had any issues with our tetra species. We've still got a few of the Similis Corydoras in. We did have quite a few people come in for Similis from watching the YouTube channel, so thank you so much for that. I know I've waffled on about Similis Corydoras enough. They are just absolutely gorgeous fish. They are so full of character, so fun. These guys have been feeding really nicely on the Corydoras pellet from Fish Science that we've been feeding them. We are feeding most of our fish on a variety of Fish Science foods, some tetra, some live, some frozen. We try and give all of our fish a nice variety of foods to try and keep them happy and healthy. We've still got our Apistogramma Vegeta 2s. We have had quite a bit of interest in them. They are honestly such gorgeous fish. I'm super excited for whoever decides to take them home because these guys are definitely a breeding pair. They're definitely going to pair up and have some gorgeous offspring. And then obviously we've still got our Panda Corydoras, Pepper Corydoras. We still have our rainbow shiners in. We had a bunch of people saying that the shiners were beautiful last week. We do have a customer who has been super supportive of the shop. He knows who he is. Thank you so much. He will hopefully be taking a whole bunch of these, and we've decided what we're going to do with this tank. I'm going to do an aquascape. We have a tank that personally I feel like is kind of being wasted with where it is. I'm thinking we're going to do a massive aquascape using, we haven't decided what lighting yet. We're either leaning towards the Superfish RGB scape lights, or potentially if we manage to splash out on something, I'd love to try the new Fluval 4.0s, but they are going to be a little bit expensive just for shop use. So if anyone from Fluval sees this, super excited to be getting on with that. That'll be happening in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on the channel for a new aquascape happening here. In Asia, we sold quite a bit this week. We still have the neon loach that we got in last week. We still have a whole bunch of gobies. We've still got our honey gourami. I still don't know why those honey gourami haven't sold. I think they're gorgeous. We've got a really lovely range of gouramis in with some panchaks. The most exciting thing for me in this side of Asia this week is the fact that we got Borneo loaches. And usually when you just get Borneos or Hillstream loach or Hong Kong plex, whatever you want to call them, they come in as their wild variety, not wild caught, but wild variety, where they just have their polka dot bodies and plain tails. And I was trying to get footage for this video just before I started filming, I noticed that they've come in with blue and red tails. We've got blue spot and red spot Borneo loaches in stock. They are such stunning fish. I know we've had a couple of customers asking for them. I'm so happy that they've come in with blue and red tails. I doubt they'll be here for long. If you do want them, then call us up. There is a link at the top of the description in this video for our website. It's got all of our numbers on it, email address, or if you go onto our Instagram at @PondLifeAquatics, send me a message. We can reserve them. We do need to take payment up front. Obviously, we do get a rush on a weekend and we can't hold fish if we're not sure people are going to come in. But if you pay and reserve, we'll hold them for you and we'll make sure that we have the fish that you want when you come in to collect them. We managed to get Galaxy Rasbora and Mosquito Rasbora 2 weeks in a row. They've come in absolutely beautifully. We've got backups of the Galaxy Raz. We've got them in the quarantine space. Again, not because there's anything wrong with them, just because we don't like overloading our tanks here at Pond Life Aquatics and Tropical Fish London. We try and keep a reasonable amount of fish in our tanks at any given time. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute because I'm quite excited what we're going to be doing in the back behind you. We still have neon green Kabutoi Rasbora. We sold through a few of the Sid Monkey Boatia loaches, but that is pretty no, I tell a lie. Not in the correct continent, but for good reason. We didn't have an open spot in our quarantine room last weekend. For one of the first times, we had a private customer sell us fish to sell on. And in this tank, I think they're absolutely gorgeous. We have Longfin snow white Plecos. These have been bred in Essex by one of the viewers of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for bringing them in. I'm over the moon with how they look. I love these guys. I know my girlfriend does. She will definitely want me to bring at least one of them home. They are beautiful. They've settled in so nicely. And I think that just goes to show that when you do have successful breeding projects in London tap water, moving them around, you get so little issues. It's brilliant that we've managed to get something like Longfin Snow White and Sistrus tank bred in London in our store. I'm so excited that we get to do that, and it's something that we want to keep doing here. So if you are breeding interesting species, we tend to avoid, unless you are specifically breeding fancy guppies rather than just having young from your tank. If you have specific species that you're breeding and you want to sell them to a store that cares, that we try to take care of the fish in the best possible way, and you want to move them on for whatever reason, then give us a shout, send us videos and pictures to our email or our Instagram, and we will get back to you. I'm so excited that these are in. Next to them, we have some rabbit snails in. Again, lovely tank bred species, not from a client, but worth mentioning. Now, in the section that was behind me, we're starting to move away from keeping so many fancy goldfish. We find that the trop room is far too well insulated, and honestly, we want to dedicate more space to our tropical and temperate range rather than our cold water range in here. So in this tank here that is currently empty, we are going to be moving over our Barb Selection, because although, again, you would see in a lot of stores that they don't keep their fish in the most optimal ways, we want to try and emulate keeping fish in enough space to our customers. So this is going to be a new Barb tank. Potentially, when we sell on from some of our other goldfish, we'll be having more barbs, more Asian species up here. Super exciting development. It's only because we are selling so many more fish to all of our new clients that we are able to think about doing this stuff. So yes, super exciting, super looking forward to putting barbs in there and seeing that next week. We're going to obviously be doing lots of testing and making sure the tank is all good. But as soon as we get the go ahead, we're going to be moving the barbs across over to there. And in our Siamese fighting fish section, not technically just Siamese fighting fish, but it tends to be where we keep all of our Siamese fighting fish, or Betta splendens. We have, again, just a gorgeous range in. We sold so many fighters over the week. I think we sold the most amount of fighters we have in a very long time. So we've got a really stunning restock of Betta splendens. In this tank, we've got gorgeous half moons, and I've fallen in love again. There is a koi Plakat in this tank here that I am just so in love with. Every now and then I will see a bright red Plakat Betta, and I love them. I love them so much. I think they are so full of character and so boisterous and fun. I think that's like the type of thing that we all want from fish keeping, where there is a type of fish or a species of fish that makes us feel like kids again. And this particular Betta is just, he gives me that giddy feeling. I think if he doesn't sell this weekend, I'm probably gonna buy him. A gorgeous fish, absolutely stunning. We also got a whole range of stunning Siamese fighting fish in, some opalines, we got some super deltas. In Ariane's tank, we've still got the Galaxy Rasbora. They've been doing some fun little dances, and there's a new Siamese fighter in there. And then behind me, we've got a new aquascape that I did at a workshop. I had a really great time. This is a Superfish Cube 15 that I've got a CO2 injector set up on. It is growing in still. I want to try and get some of the Super Red Mini down into the substrate a bit more, but the Ludwigia is really coming up in the last couple of days. I'm really impressed with the light quality on the Superfish Cube range. We are going to be stocking them, thankfully. We already stock the 90 litre scaper, but I think the 15 cubes, this gives people a really good idea of what a scaped cube can look like. We've got a mixture of mini Super Red and Ludwigia Diamond Red with Bucephalandra, Thea Green, and Spiky Moss. Letting it cycle, and then I'm probably going to put some Neocaridina in there, maybe some Jade Greens to offset against the red a little bit, make them pop, maybe some whites. While we are in our Siamese fighting fish section, I would like to point out that we now have new biotope sets from Superfish. We have these for South America and Siamese fighting fish, and I think they're just a really great idea. They are pre-packaged botanicals specifically for the biome of the species of fish. This is the last one. We got 3 in and they sold out almost immediately. I think we're going to be stocking much more of these. I think they are fantastic. I think for the pricing, they are brilliant. They are £6.60 each. I'll put a link to the store if you want these. They are, if you want to set up an appropriate space for your betta or any other specific botanical species, Superfish have you covered. And we will be stocking the full range starting next Thursday. We have the South America and we have the Betta, but super impressed with them. Definitely going to be carrying them on. Just before we leave Asia, I do want to say that we have some white tiger snails in and some Nero snails. I forgot to mention last week that the cleanup crews that we have armored shrimp, Amano shrimp, Nero Caridina, some white tiger snails as well, gold apple snails. I showed you the Himalayan snails before, and yeah, brilliant little cleanup crews. Nice, cheap, cheerful, lovely species. Now, after having to skip Australia last week, I am so happy to say that we have
Forktail Blue-eye Rainbowfish.
They are a truly diminutive species that love to be kept in densely planted, stunning aquariums. I used to keep them in one of my aquascapes at home a long time ago. They're one of those species of fish that I remember reading about in Practical Fish Keeping, and I went and sought them out for ages. And they were really quite difficult to get a hold of. They do prefer softer water, but these are tank bred and have adapted to London tap, as have pretty much every single species that we keep here at Pond Aquatics and Tropical Fish London. They are a really gorgeous fish. If you have nano aquaria that you're not quite sure what you want to keep, you know that you don't want to be keeping tetra for whatever reason, you're not sure about resporas, you want something a little bit different, rainbow fish are the species for you. I think they're gorgeous. They have sexual dimorphism. You can really easily tell which ones are males, which ones are females. They've got this glorious long fin pattern. I genuinely don't think can be beat in a lot of ways. They've got this beautiful yellow body with blue eyes, and they're so full of character. I'll be really sad to see them go if they sell, but I hope someone does come in and buy them and loves them as much as we love having them. Gorgeous species of fish. Now, in Africa, our final continent for our fish species, we still have our Lamprologus ocellatus. I'm a little bit disappointed that they haven't sold as well as I would have thought. I get it, Tanganyikan tanks aren't for everyone, especially nano Tanganyikan tanks, but it means I've got to enjoy having them. Again, a gorgeous shell-dwelling species. The same with our fairy locust, the Lamprologus daffodils. But in terms of new species, we got frogs. We got golden claw frogs again. We usually keep the African dwarf frogs just in their natural coloration, but we got the golds in this time, and they're such fun guys. Great for nano aquariums, super peaceful. They do need to be kept with live food, but we are going to be trying to feed them that krill food, see if they go for it. We have found that a lot of species that don't typically take dry food have been taking the krill foods. So we're going to try and get them on that. But for the time being, we've got a whole range of live foods in. We typically keep copepods, Daphnia, brine shrimp, bloodworm, and blackworm. We have all that in stock ready for this weekend. If you're interested, just ask in store if you're about, and we will help you with whatever you need. I love dwarf frogs. Again, one of the first species that my dad ever brought home for me. And I just think they're so cool. They are just such a cool species to be able to keep. I think kids will absolutely love them. And hopefully parents won't kill us for having to keep frozen and live food in their house. In this bottom tank, it's usually a miscellaneous tank. We do want to convert it to a heavy botanical frog tank at some point, but for the time being, we didn't have space in Asia. So we have our clown loach down there that came in this week, and they're doing really lovely. Again, loving the krill food, loving the live food. There's also a whole bunch of Corydoras, just miscellaneous pieces down there, and they're just living out their lives in a really well-maintained, filtered, and heavily tannined tank. So yes, it does break our continents, as do some other tanks, but we'd rather keep fish properly than stuff them into smaller aquariums to keep our theme alive, as it were. Finally, in our plant tanks, I think the best plant order we've ever had in. We recently started stocking Aquaflora, and I've just been blown away with the quality of not just their potted plants, but also some of their ornament pieces. Very briefly, we have everything you could possibly want. Hygrophila polysperma, Limnophilia heteroflora, Rotala orange juice, Microsorum petoris. We've got this giant Monte Carlo in at the moment, dwarf hairgrass, Cryptocorin novelli. We've got this beautiful Bulbitis haldolti, Alteranthia cardinalis, loads of Bacopa moniera. We got a couple of pieces of things like Rotala bloody reds. We had a new customer come in, seriously thank you again, who bought out all but a single one of our Anubias species. There'll be more in coming up this week, hopefully. We've got 2 species in. If you want any specific plants, message me on the Instagram at PondLifeAquatics or email us at info@pondlifeaquatics.co.uk. The link to our website is below. If everything from our plant section, we actually deliver. So if you see anything that you specifically want, then we can send that out to you. In terms of the deco range, we'd only gone for the amphora pots and regular pots from the Aquaflora Deco pottery series. If you don't know what those are, they are actual pottery that instead of being plastic and fake, they are pottery pieces that have actual Anubias species growing out of them. The Anubias are matched to the specific type of deco plant to make sure that they're not too big. And I love this range. It's such a great idea for beginner fish keepers. Super easy to keep, really well priced. They're about £17.50 each, or 2 for £30. If you don't know how to keep plants, you're worried about your lighting, you're worried about anything like that, you're worried about getting ornaments that are going to upset your fish or hurt your fish, and you want something that's a little bit more natural looking, but also kind of cool and fun and funky, I think the deco range is just brilliant for your aquarium. So happy that we've got it in stock. We've been selling them really well, and seriously, again, thank you to everyone who's come in and bought things. We have been supplementing with the Colombo Flora Grow range in all of our plant tanks, and we've been getting really, really great growth of them. The Hygrophila polysperma grows up every single week, and no wonder it sells by the weekend, because it grows up, looks beautiful, and ready for everyone's tanks. The final thing from the plants that are interesting, and I'm not going to go too long about it because I doubt they'll last very long. We've got Plantis fluitans, which is red root floater, and these come in a really nice little pot. I've got these in every single week for the past like 3 weeks, and they instantly sell. Central American species go bright red when they have enough light. Great for pretty much any aquarium. They will help you keep your nitrates under control. And if you have a very strong light, if you want to help diffuse the light, these are excellent. We also have Salvania and some Amazon frogbit growing in the tanks. If you want any of that, just let one of our guys know, they'll help you out. And that is it for me once again at Pond Life Aquatics and Tropical Fish London. I just want to say, I didn't think I was going to be able to get to a point where I'd be able to do these stock videos once a week, because it was honestly quite rare, particularly in the winter, for us to be able to sell through so much stock and so many gorgeous species of fish every single week. I didn't think we would be getting in orders this often, particularly plants, and it makes me so happy. I can't thank the local support enough, people who are traveling to come see us. Thank you to everyone who drops messages saying how much they appreciate the videos. Come in, support us. If you want to support us from far away, we send all across the UK. We don't do live fish, we don't support that, but we do sell live plant across the UK. We sell all of our hardscape. We're looking into sending aquariums if that's something you want to support us with. And if not, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We are thinking about starting to put out videos twice weekly. We'll either be doing a species spotlight or a back to basics midweek, and then doing a stock update if we have sold through enough to make these stock updates. If not, it will just be once a week, because I do want to keep up with the educational videos. I do want to keep the back to basics and species spotlight videos up, just because they're a different side of the knowledge base, aquarium keeping. We'll also obviously be doing aquascaping as well on the channel. Looking forward to doing that big one. If there's anything you want us to stock, drop us a comment below. If there's anything that you want me to speak about in a species spotlight or back to basics, also let me know. And thank you again so much. And I hope you'll join me again for this pond life.